Hi, I hope you can all hear me, and a very warm welcome from Germany today. My name is Ute Strack. I work at the US Embassy, and I'm a German, and I did exactly what we are going to talk about today, going to the United States as an international student. And I'm really happy to speak to you today, and I'm looking forward to your questions after I have done my presentation. Okay, so today's topic, graduate admission and funding. What I can only speak to is to US universities. Some of what I will tell you will also be applicable to going to graduate school in other countries. But my experience is with the United States, and that is only the one I can talk to about right now. Okay, so when we are talking about graduate studies in the United States, we are talking about a 2-year program after a 4-year bachelor program. In European countries where I live, bachelor programs are only 3 years, so it will be up to the US university to decide if they will admit you to a master program after your bachelor degree. You will have to discuss this with them individually and find out what they require. But generally speaking, it's a 4-year bachelor and then 2 years for a master program, which is then called graduate studies. We have we have various types of master programs. There is specifically the Master of Arts, Master of Science, and also, of course, the Master of Business Administration. There may be very specialized master's programs, and you will have to see what exactly that you want, what you need, and what your goals are for after your studies. The PhD program depends in length. If you're going for it right after your bachelor degree, or if you want to first insert a master's program before you do that final degree program. But for today, we are looking at the 2-year program after your bachelor studies. Okay. And to plan a orderly going through your application process in order to make a successful step towards the United States, we have subdivided the steps to make it easier for you on how to achieve what I apologize, I'm a little bit excited and I hope you bear with me. I will do my best to get over my stage fever. Okay, 5 steps to study in the United States. And today we will be mostly looking at the first 3 steps. They are kind of interlocking, and you have to make sure that you go through all the 3 steps in a certain way, and to really carefully go through this, because otherwise you will not be able to realize what you're looking for. It's impossible to just ask, how will I get financing for my master program in medicine, or not medicine, but in business, if you're not if you haven't done your research and also completed the application. Researching your options, really begin early. Start looking at this up to 1.5 years before you actually plan on going. I mean, if you're already later in the process, you can still do it, but if you have 1.5 years, you give yourself more options, more time to choose what you actually discover, what you actually want to achieve, giving yourself more time to take specific tests, and also you have more time to complete your application, which will be going in 1 year before you actually start your studies. And only with the completed application will you receive some information about finances. So you cannot really go ahead and talk about finances before you have done step 1 and 2. And so if you look at this 1.5 years in advance, which would be like April, August, you would think, you would read research, you would select your schools and programs, and then you would plan your essay and also cultivate recommendations from professors, from other people that know you, to make sure that they will write you very strong support letters. September through December, the year before, you will have to take tests. I mean, admission to U.S. graduate school requires several standardized tests, and it takes time. You have to go to the test center. You have to get first and make an appointment, get to the test center, and you also have to give yourself a chance maybe to repeat one of those tests if the results aren't quite to your satisfaction. So this is something really to give yourself the time instead of doing this under a rush. And also make sure that you communicate with professors, that you get the results. December through January, you would really then complete the application and send them out to the universities that you have selected. And then in April, May of that year you want to go, you will receive admission decisions from US universities and also find out if and how much grants they will have awarded you in order for you to fulfill your dream. Okay. Let's go a little bit into detail about researching your option, the step 1. What it means, all possible options. So you have looked at a certain field of study, but there may be something beyond that, or there may be certain specialities that you may not have considered beforehand. So make sure that you know how exactly is your field of study described in the United States or in other countries. What kind of programs are being offered? There are so many programs out there, more than 2,000 in the United States, and I'm certain if you already are looking in a certain direction, if you have certain specialties checked out, that you can find at least 1, 2, or maybe 3 programs that will serve the specialty that you are looking for. But make sure not to omit things that you may not have considered to begin with. Something that strikes your fancy, that you think this is a direction you want to go to, and then ask questions. I mean, this is one of the nice things. If you have time, start to communicate with these universities and find out details. Make sure to read the course offerings, the descriptions of the classes that are there, who are your professors. So this is really requires time, because if you invest time and money and you want to have a wonderful degree out of it afterwards, you really should put in as much effort at this point to make sure that you really get the very best out of it. There are certain types of universities, so make sure, do you want to go to a specific research university? Are you really looking more for doctoral universities, or are you just concentrating on a master's? So if master's is your final goal, there may be other options out there. Then if you want to continue on, get your PhD, you would look at different schools. Professors at universities, they really control the assistantships. So while you are studying, you may also want to get work for the faculty or for the department that you are involved in. And the professors, they really look out for the assistants, they select them. So make sure to get the to know the professors in advance. Financial aid in particular is very competitive. You must really research very carefully to find the universities that can give you money to complete your studies. So make sure about that you do that research right. And the professor is also the supervisor. He's the most important element of the graduate study. So you may really want to take a look at the professor actually before you select the schools. Obviously, those two will go together, but professors will make up a very large part of your life. So get to know them. And also communicate. This is really essential. They have to know you before they receive your application. So again, communicate, get to know them, research them for all that you are worth. Practice and prepare for tests. I already mentioned that for admission to graduate school, or for particular graduate schools, they will require you not only to take tests, but also to show certain scores on them. In terms of language tests, you will either have to have the TOEFL test of English as a foreign language, or in many cases they will also accept an alternate, which is called IELTS, International English Language Testing System. And you will have to just search in your country which of the tests are being offered, which is most convenient for you to take, and also how comfortable you feel about doing one or the other. There are certain differences in formats, and you may feel better about one or the other. So take the one where you think you will get better scores. So because that will help you prepare for a very strong application. Questions that you can ask the universities that you are investigating. I mean, it's almost like that. You are investigating, and that is how many first-year international students have received financial aid. So this is something for funding. So important for you to know in the context of getting to know them. Or what are the factors, or what is important to them in order for them to give out financial aid. So this is really questions you can send in. So make sure that you have all that together and when you're researching your options. What it is that they're looking for at universities. I mean, obviously you have asked your questions, but they also want to know something about you. And they want to know, do you have high academic potential? So your prior grades from your bachelor degree, that your tests, your application, either essay or statement of purpose, they really look at all your back history and want to know, are you capable of following the program? Are you capable of contributing to that department if in case they're giving you money for you to work as a teaching or a research assistant? So this is important to demonstrate your academic potentials through letters of recommendation, but obviously all through your grades, which are making, or your transcript, which are making, which are a large part of your application documents. And the application itself is has many parts to it. I already mentioned you have to write an application, fill out an application form. You have to provide your transcript. You have to provide documents of prior working experience. Research and teaching experience obviously is very, very important if you're shooting for one of those research or teaching assistantships. So all this together, you have to highlight what your good points are, and there is really no point in putting a light under you really have to be strong about that, not hide your potential, not be very shy or modest about it. There are some cultural differences on how one talks about oneself. The United States really appreciates people that are capable of showing their own strength. So it may be a bit difficult for you because your culture may frown down upon, showing yourself in a very good light, or highlighting, or putting yourself forward. But really, this is something you have to look into. Take a look maybe at samples of application essays, letters of statements of purpose from other people. How have they done it? And talk to people who have US experience to make sure that you really have somebody look at that application with a US experience that can tell you, well, this is how we are doing it, maybe what we are used to here, but in the US you may want to highlight certain points, or maybe less shy about certain accomplishments. And that is in generally a good recommendation. Talk to somebody with a US experience who has gone through all of this and can help you out, show you some things that can be improved. Okay. The application itself, I already mentioned some of this, and so you have them here all in one on one slide. The application form, which is generally a form that can be or will be filled out online. There is hardly any universities left that will do this in paper versions, if it is accepted. But make use of the online application materials available to you. Also, CV, curriculum vitae. This is your past experiences. What makes you up. Also, make sure these CVs are American style. I know that some Europeans stumble sometimes over CVs American style, that they would add a picture of themselves or add in some personal information that is inappropriate in the United States. So make sure that you have recent samples of curriculum vitae that you can take as a model. Transcripts, of course, are your documents, diploma documents from your bachelor degree, but also from secondary school. It's usually in a table format where shows which courses you have taken, a little bit about the contents, a short summary, and also the grade that you have achieved. They usually have to be stamped by the university that has issued them to you. Normally, there is no specific format for transcripts, so you'll have to see if your home university has already given out transcripts. Many of them have very much international experience, and they will know how a transcript for you specifically should look like. Statement of purpose. If you were to study on an undergraduate, you would mostly write an essay. But the statement of purpose is a more career-oriented letter or essay about yourself, about your what you wish to accomplish in life, in particular what you wish to accomplish with the master's program that you are applying for. So what it is that you intend to do with the degree that you are getting from that US university. What is your outlook in life? What makes you interesting in general, to be that the university will say, yes, this person is fantastic for our program. They need exactly what we can teach them. So make sure to really invest time and make it specific to one university, because admissions officials, they really have a feeling for when a statement of purpose is the same for all kinds of universities. You really need to look at the strength of that university, why you are applying to that university, and highlight of you want to achieve something, and that specific university can give you this specific thing to reach your goals. So really make sure to invest the time, because you are spending money to apply to universities. So make sure that they are not, sorting it out because they can see it's so generalized and it could have been sent to any other university. So that would be just a waste of your money and also of your time in filling out all those forms. Really make it very specific. Teachers' recommendations. I mean, we talked about giving yourself time in advance when researching. So I hope you have taken the time to cultivate the teachers for them to get to know you, so they will write you good recommendation letters. There are a number of resources out on the internet which helps you to pull together information to give to that teacher so they can write an excellent recommendation letter for you. For example, Education USA has on their website, educationusa.info, 10 tips for recommendation letters. There are other resources out there, obviously, so make use of that, and also give those teachers time. Pull together a little folder with information, what it is, what you have done, how they got to know you maybe a little bit, also classes that you have taken, if that teacher or professor from a undergraduate study, they may have forgotten, they have seen so many other students. Pull together information in writing to make it as easy as possible for them to write you that very strong letter. Test scores I've already mentioned. It doesn't make sense to apply to a university if they say that you have to have certain scores and you are falling short of that. Unless the university is, has still open spaces or is not not very competitive, test scores really play a role. And if you have not achieved those the required scores, you will either have to forego applying to that university, or you have to take the time and retake the test in hopes that you will get that score. And certification of finance. Obviously, we want also to get funding. But U.S. universities would like to see that you may have at least a little bit of money, and then you will have to certify that you have that part of money and that you can at least show a proof that this is available to you. It's not worth saying, well, I have at least half the tuition money, or I have 20% or 30% if you cannot prove it. So any finances that you have available, also maybe through a scholarship program from your host country, home country, I apologize. Anything that you have in terms of finances available to you, you will have to prove that you can that you do this. So please also remember, when you are applying for a graduate program and also a graduate a teaching assistantship financial aid, you are in fact applying for a job. So a professional, polished application is really essential. You really have to demonstrate the relevance of your past accomplishments to the professor, so they can see, yes, you're not only worth as a student, but also as a person who will work with them. So also make sure professors, if you're applying to a research university that has PhD programs, let them know if you're also planning on going on for that PhD program. That may also make a difference. You always can, plans change, no question about that. But if it's already in your mind that you would like to do that PhD program, let the professors, the department know that this is your goal, and they will take this into consideration. Obviously, applying early, I think I mentioned this before, is a very, very important thing to do, because everybody is looking for financial aid, and when the application comes in early and the professor had gotten to know you, they'd be more inclined to give you that job instead of another person who applied later. They may like that person equally, but you were there first, and that really may make the difference. So really, that's why take your time in researching and then get that application in early. Certification of finance, to jump a little bit back onto that. I mentioned that U.S. universities want to see at least some finances. So one thing is that it's possible that they will not give you a job or a teaching assistantships that will pay for your study in the first semesters. They may require to arrive on campus, and then will consider your job application for the second semester. So it would be a good idea to have finances maybe for the first semester available. Okay, next. We have been talking about financial aid, which follow only after researching and the application, because only with those two steps already gone through, U.S. universities will consider giving financial aid. It will not be independent of the application. What kind of financial aid is out there by field? The ones of you who are in the STEM fields, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, you are in a far better position, because about 82% of PhD students and 55% of master students are lucky enough to receive financial aid from U.S. universities. Unfortunately, it looks a little bit different in the humanities and social sciences, which is 56% of PhD students will receive funding from the U.S. university, in 41% of the master students. And regrettably, but I think this is not only true for the U.S., business, health, law, communication, there is not that much funding out there from the U.S. universities themselves. I will talk about other sources of funding except the U.S. university a little bit later, but this is something important to keep in mind, also for you not to be disappointed if it doesn't come through from a certain university, or that you may have to apply to more universities to give you a wider pool. And university-based funding, I mentioned this several times before, are in the form of assistantship. Research assistant, teaching assistant, and graduate administrative assistant. Research and teaching, I believe, are fairly self-explanatory. You either help the professor with their research, or you teach undergraduate classes, do like mentoring, holding smaller group sessions for the professors. This is something that can fall to you. Administrative assistants are usually the ones that help out in offices, filling out forms, entering data into computers, this kind of work. So also for you who speak foreign languages, if that language that you are most familiar with, or that you are from your home country, if that is being taught, it's also maybe possible to do some teaching in that language for undergraduates, if that university offers language classes or options in that field. So that might be a second kind of teaching venue for you to think about. Scholarship and fellowships, well, this is only a difference in name. It will very much depend on a university if they call something a fellowship or a scholarship or the way it was set up. What it actually means is that that the university will give you money straightforward for a particular purpose, either to study in a certain thing or because you bring certain qualifications. I'm making up something now, maybe because you are the child of deaf parents, or because you want to study within that field, or you want to concentrate on a specific topic because this was set up by a family or an organization who is interested in this specific thing. So these are straightforward money. It can come in form of tuition waivers. It may come in form of a living stipend. It really have to take a look at websites and see what it is that they offer you. So this is, and the variety is immense out there. Some of them are not bound to a specific university. There is a website called fundingustudy.org, which gives information about such scholarship and fellowships, which can be searched by various criteria. But very often these scholarship or fellowships are bound to a specific university. Okay, I'm just looking at my notes. Some of these are fellowships are also awarded by departments on the basis of academic merit. So if you were there and you've shown up and you've shown very strong academic progress, they may give that out after the first year of study. And they can be modest things like only tuition, but it can also be like a full grant, which includes all tuition fees, monthly stipend. So this is rarely for a total cost, so you may still need a little bit on the side. But this is something you can often apply only when you're there. So again, if you have a little bit of money to start, there are maybe more or additional options coming up on campus after the first semester or year. And some universities may also offer tuition waivers or reduced tuition for international students on the same level that students that are living in that particular state in the US are paying. On the basis also of academic merit. If you're achieving a certain grade point average and you've shown that potential, if you fulfill certain conditions set by that university, they may give out these tuition waivers. So it's no good having a very strong application, arriving on campus and then slacking off, because there is very often additional options coming up if you continue to keep up your grades and work with the department people. Okay, what else might be available in terms of university-based funding? We've been talking about assistantships and fellowships, but there are also on-campus jobs available. But in general, these are minimum wage level jobs, either like helping out in the cafeteria or in the library. Once you arrive for the first time on campus, you can only take on-campus jobs. You cannot work off-campus yet. So these are the jobs that are available are also highly competed for. So you will really have to look around and see that you can get one of them. But obviously they are, since they are minimum, mostly minimum wage jobs, they are not enough to pay your entire tuition and fees on campus. They can be a nice additional source of funding, maybe to pay for your books or for your incidentals, but this is not enough for everything. Internships are curricular practical training. This is what the CPT stands for. While you are on campus enrolled in a program, you are allowed to do internships, and they can be paid internships, yes, but they have to connect it to your course of study, and you have to get permission for them. So make sure to talk to your international student advisor about these internship options. Again, these are things that you mostly will find out only once you have arrived on campus. So this is not something that you can arrange very well in advance. Co-op programs are programs that are interrupted or kind of have parts of it that are practical in nature, that are arranged maybe with businesses or other institutions, organizations connected to the university. So you will study for some time, go into this internship co-op program for a certain time, and then go back to the university for study. And depending on where these co-op programs are located, it may be off campus or it may be on campus. It will very much depend on what is offered. Some of these co-op programs sort of can have some pitfalls, because really working or internships outside the universities may pose some visa problems. So make sure to check with your international student advisor if you're eligible for co-op programs. But still, as a block of several weeks, they may be possible. And another university-based funding are loans, but those obviously, as all loans are, they are due at some point. And it may not be easy for an international student to get a loan from the university. They may require some securities or a U.S. co-signer. So check with the university. In particular, if they have given you some university-based funding in form of a teaching assistantship or that you found a campus job, but it's still not enough and you need to really bridge maybe a small amount, this is something maybe to look at and to consider. So this is to get a fully financed master's program in form of a loan. I think that is also, first of all, not easy to get from the university to begin with, and also that will leave you with a lot of debt at the end. So this is really something to look at from a perspective to bridge maybe a smaller amount that you are still missing out on, in particular if it's a university that you really, really want to attend. Oops. Other funding sources. I mean, I have only talked about U.S. university funding sources, so very much tied to a specific university. But there are some wonderful programs out there that will give money to study in the United States. And one is the U.S. government. And actually, that was very fortunate for me. The U.S. government has the Fulbright program, which is always a binational program, works together with the host home country and the U.S. government. The U.S. government sends students to that other country, and the other country sends students out. And I was very fortunate in being able to participate in one of those Fulbright programs, which is the reason why I'm sitting here today and am able to tell you a bit about studying in the United States. So these are very fantastic programs. So check out your Fulbright organizations. The U.S. Department of State has a website, Exchanges State Gov, or ECA State Gov, where they list U.S. government scholarship opportunities, and you can search by country or by certain levels of study. It will give you a lot of information, and really don't be shy. Look at this. You may be eligible for more than you actually know. Funding sources from your home country, and actually your Education USA Center in your home country will know all of the funding sources that are available from your home country organizations. Here in Germany, we are very fortunate in having the German Academic Exchange Service. They are a huge funding organization, and they also give a lot of money to study abroad. In particular, and that includes the United States. And there is a number of other organizations in other countries that will give funding to study abroad. It's possible that it's only maybe for a short-term period, but this is also something to look at as an alternative for a full degree program, or maybe as a supplement to something that you may receive from a U.S. university. So really check it out, and the Education USA centers will have lists of information out there for you to look at. The Education USA centers can all be found worldwide at the educationusa.info website. And there you can also get assistance. I mean, I'm only talking here today about a very specific part of studying in the United States, but Education USA centers worldwide will assist you if you have questions on study and exchanges in the United States. So make use of that resource and find out about what is open to you as a student in the United States. Many people often forget that also international organizations will have some aid available. For example, the United Nations, the World Health Organization, the Red Crescent may have funding available for study abroad options. Check out the organizations themselves, see what they offer, and maybe there is like a program that you fit into. It may not give you exactly a specific university that you've been looking at, but they may give you other options that you hadn't considered in the past. So these are certainly things to keep in mind. Corporations, foundations, associations. This is also something that may be very well something from your home country. If a corporation is very active there, they're looking for good people to take into their workforce, and they may be willing to assist bright young students with their study and their international experience in order to gain good employees afterwards. So this is something maybe there is no systematic way of researching that, but again, the Education USA centers will often have leads on what is going on in your specific country. And also student loans. I mentioned this in the context of with the US universities, but obviously there are loan organizations or banks out there who will give student loans in your own country, and it may be easier to get that loan from in your home country because you are a resident of that country. Also, this is something to look at. For example, the German government gives out student loans that are very low interest or and that have a very nice structure of paying back afterwards, so you are not getting overwhelmed. There may be some options out there like that in your country as well, so check it out. In general, it's a good idea to look for teaching assistantships or something that you do not to have to pay back. But again, this can be a very, very nice bridge to consider if you're missing just that tiny last bit. Now that we've gone, through all the research you have applied, and we've seen what kind of funding might be out there. Now you've received maybe 2, 3 offers from U.S. universities, and now you have one university that you really, really like and want to go to, but another university will offer you more financial aid or a full rate. Let them know about it, but make sure it's very nicely done and that you're honest about it. For example, currently I cannot afford to attend your school. Do you have other scholarship offers that I can apply to? Or tell them, I really, really would like to attend, but I'm afraid at this point there is still a gap that I cannot bridge, and I may have to accept another offer. You can really let them know about this, but if you feel comfortable doing it, and really being honest about it is very important, because universities will get a very good feel for if the student is only saying so, or if they really are honest about this other offer. And if you are attending a certain school and you didn't qualify for certain aids right away, I mean, we mentioned that there are some things that may come up the following semester or year. You can always reapply. I mean, this is the nice thing about it. There's nothing ever final about it. The more time you spend at a university, the more you get a feel for what's out there, and you can always change your plan. I mean, normally if you've decided on a specific program, it's difficult to change course in midstream and go to another one. But because also universities have invested a lot of their time and given you a chance with them. So really go and see what they can offer you, maybe not in the first semester, but maybe the second one. Okay, and oops, one more. Actually, I'm very much at the end of my presentation, and more questions. I see there's already some questions here. Let me take a look. I'm an international student who is in search of a scholarship for graduate study. Well, I think this is what the presentation has given an answer to, I hope. I think that question came in beforehand. So really, Woloba, please, if you still have questions, feel free to ask them now. But I think I covered most of that here. Then there is a question on agriculture. Researching your options also means going to college search engines and to look for specific programs. Samples of college search engines are Peterson's.com and College Board. As some of them, there are also specialized college search engines for graduate school. So go onto the internet and look for these college search engines. Education USA Info will give you links to good college search engines that you can use to first narrow down out of the 2,000 plus universities the ones that give that teach or offer your program. So I don't have any specific recommendations, obviously, simply because this is not my field of expertise, agriculture. So it would be impossible for me to say something here right now. I have a question here. I am a disabled person with very good results in education. Can you award me a scholarship without GRE at any Canadian university? Really, that will depend on the university, if they will admit you, first of all, to their program, and then even give financial aid to you. This is true for US universities, the same as Canadian universities. I really cannot answer for the individual university. It's really up to them. But the question is, you would limit yourself very, very much, and most universities will require some sort of standardized testing. So I really recommend taking at least the GRE or another standardized test that the university requires, because otherwise it's going to be very, very difficult. Let me see, some more question. Which is the place with the least fees, or with not so high fees? Again, this is a matter of research. I mean, that will very much depend on your field of study, and with the college search engines, you have options of limiting to your search also to which are high or low in fees. You can give out certain ranges. Make sure also that you consider the cost of living, or will you need a car, for example. In some urban areas, it may be possible to get around without them. But in other places, you may need a car, so that may add to the expenses that will come to you. So take all of this into consideration. It's not only the tuition, but also the rest of it together. Also, how expensive it is to take a meal plan or not. So this is more of aggregate information, and you need this is part of the research that you have to do. Hi, there is a question from somebody from Afghanistan who lives in Turkey. Yes, of course you can go to college or university in the United States, but it's really research, apply, and finding out financial aid. I mean, there is no limit. There is, we do not, it's possible to study in the US for anybody who fulfills the requirements. And the first requirement is the application to a US university and being admitted and clarifying that you can pay for that. So this is, I really hope you'll be able to get to that, and that my presentation was helpful for you in that way. Question: what could be a monthly expense for an international student? Marian, I think answered a little bit of that. It will very much depend on the place. And the university will issue a document when they admit you to their campus, which is called I-20. And on that I-20, it will list exactly tuition and fees, living expenses, what you can expect. So that will give you a very good idea. There are also some cost of living calculators on the internet, so you use one of those. I think they are also on Education USA. But if you Google for cost of living, you will find that in addition. But the university websites will also, in most cases, will have some of that information available to you. What is the job scenario for mechanical students in the US? Are you talking mechanical engineers? I believe actually that would be fairly good, because it's part of the STEM fields, and that should be you should be able to find good universities also with research or teaching assistant offers. So again, research for your field of study and see if there's some part of it in particular that appeals to you and that you find a university in that regard. There's somebody asking, I'm planning for an MS in electronics or computer science in January 2015. No, I'm afraid I cannot really suggest universities because it really depends on you. It's you, that you fit that university and that university fits you. I really cannot recommend it. But what I can recommend is that you talk to your closest Education USA centers. They very often give individual advising. Some of them offer this also virtually, so in case you're a little bit further away from them, that you can really talk to an advisor individually and that they will help you look for these programs once they get a better idea. But within the context of this presentation, I'm afraid that doesn't work. Okay. The question on admission without the GRE, I believe I already answered. So make sure that it's possible. I do not know of specific universities that will do that, but without the GRE or the GMAT, depending on what program you are looking into or what the university requires, it may be difficult to get admitted. And without those GRE scores or other scores, it may be next to impossible to get financial aid. Ask the universities. I'm not the person to say yes or no to that. It's really, really a matter of the individual university. Another question. I've been offered an admission to one of the state universities, but no funding has been offered. What are other alternatives I can try out? I think I believe I answered that with the funding sources that I mentioned. Maybe I can, if I'm lucky, I find this here. See once you arrive on campus that they will give you one of those assistantships or tuition waiver, and these are the other funding sources that I've mentioned in my presentation. This is really something also that the Education USA Center can help you with, but you may want to apply to other universities and see if they cannot offer you some, because if it's a question of one university offering you something and the other doesn't, sometimes that makes up your mind. I mean, this is how you have to make your decision. Another question on the GRE. Farid, I'm afraid I don't know which universities do not require the GRE and which also accept a certain score of IELTS points. It really, really is up to the university, and that is part of your research. And it will very much depend on what you are studying and what you're expecting exactly to accomplish with that. But graduate study, the standardized tests are an important part of the application. So even if you missed out on it the first round, you may want to think about either retaking it or taking it for the first time. And if you do, make sure that you really prepare for that, because the tests are not always easy when you do them the first time. It's a matter of getting used to them. So I'm afraid I do not have an easy answer for you on that. Another question here. Can a final year bachelor student apply for the master's program? Yes, of course, because you need to apply 1 year in advance. So obviously, yes, you can apply to a master's program while you are still doing your bachelor's degree. And the information, your application that you submit will only show all documentation up to what you've achieved so far. The university will certainly require you to submit your bachelor diploma once you have got it, but it's certainly possible to apply before you finalize that study. So yes, go ahead and do it. We're almost done here. I'm afraid I'll soon have to shut off. One more question. What happens when a university in the USA says that they don't have a minimum for the GRE score? What is the faith of the student who wishes to write the GRE? I'm not quite sure what that means. If a US university does not require a minimum GRE score, get in touch with them and ask about it. Do they require one at all? But in general, you will not only apply to one university. So the GRE score is good for application to several universities, and most of them will tell you how many, how large of a score they require you to have. And one more. Let me see. Oh, there's so many more questions, I'm afraid. Hi, I'm a student of pharmacy in Algeria, and I want to continue my studies in the United States. Salah, please contact your Education USA Center. There are Education USA centers in all the world, so contact the closest one and get in touch with them to give you good information about pharmacy schools in the United States. And I'm very much afraid with this I have to cut off because our time is up. I'm afraid this will, if you still have questions that haven't been answered, educationusa.info, you have a possibility to submit questions and ask and get in touch with your closest Education USA center. Use this opportunity to get your questions answered. And with this, I thank you very, very much for your attention. I hope you enjoyed the time with me and that you got as much information out of this to fulfill your dream. Hi, and have a nice day.